to Conscious Matters. It's a safe space where we chat about how living consciously matters to our well-being, to the one of our surroundings and loved ones, as well as to the earth and humanity as a whole. Join me, Melissa DeBerry, for inspiring interviews with some of the most beautiful souls out there, individuals who are helping others to reach their highest selves and who bring light into this world. In every episode, we talk about conscious matters such as self-love, awareness, personal development, the power of yoga and meditation, self-medicine, the rise of holistic practices, and much more. We expand on our experiences, share tools that help live in peace, harmony, and alignment on a daily basis, and discuss about what we've learned along our healing journey. Get your mind, body, and soul ready for a ride in consciousness. Namaste, listeners.
2020 is here. I was about to say finally here, but time flies like crazy. I can't believe we're actually starting a brand new decade. Even though we can reassess ourselves at any time, to me this beginning of the new year feels like the perfect time to set my intentions of what kind of woman I want to be, what kind of life I want to live and love, stopping living into my potential and start living my truth instead. Getting rid of those limiting beliefs, speaking up, advocating for what I stand for, embracing my full self, and sharing my gift to the world. Just doing my part, instead of waiting for everything to be impeccable before doing it. I do believe that anyone is gifted and can add to the collective. Therefore, I decided to make 2020 themed Unleashing My Inner Power, and being challenged with the idea of how far can I go now that I truly believe in myself. Of course, knowing that adjustments can be and will be made along the way. You are probably also seeing 2020 as a stepping stone and a time to figure out how to shape your life from now on. Being your best self, living your best life, portraying the person you want to be deep inside. So why not having this conversation together? In this second episode, I exchanged with a woman who stepped into her power, which improved her life to have it all, as many would say. She's not any woman. Firstly, she's no stranger to me, as she was my mentor back in the days and continued to carry this role beyond then. Secondly, she's the hero of many career-driven women who find themselves overwhelmed, feel unprepared for the new position or career, and often at crossroads between their own well-being, being present in their own personal lives, and delivering high-quality work. I'm very honored and humbled to welcome Janine Esbrand on Conscious Matters. Janine got certified as a life and business coach while practicing as a corporate lawyer in prominent law firms in the UK. For a while, coaching was the side hustle of her legal career, until she became a mom. Life can be stressful between work, family, and friends, especially when we're adjusting your whole life after the arrival of a newborn. Faced with the challenges of returning back to work after maternity leave, including the pressure of the corporate world and the very long hours, she made finding harmony between work, life, and family her priority to live a life which was aligned with the person she became. She decided to trade her prestigious position with becoming a consultant lawyer and building her own business, giving her the flexibility to focus on expanding her career as a coach so she could share her experience and efficient tools with other women transitioning to a consequential life shift. Fully embracing and unleashing her inner power actually led her all the way to deliver a Tedx Talk in Greater London. Her work helped those women live more consciously in a way that they find balance in their lives, resulting in them being their best version, so they can not only take better care of themselves, but also bring more to the table in their work and family. Janine created a beautiful, supportive community of women who are living and loving the life they chose. Today, Janine and I talk about limiting beliefs, getting your power back, positive thinking, manifesting your goals into reality, finding your tribe, shining in your uniqueness, and more. Listen up to this jam. Hi, Janine.
Hi.
How are you?
It's just life all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah, I cannot even imagine your schedule. Thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Okay, good. Let's dive in.
Okay.
So we've met in 2012
Wow. Is it that long ago?
Yeah, that was like 8 years ago now. This is crazy. That was through the mentor scheme of the University of Westminster. So shout out to the University of Westminster.
Yes.
That was like during my second master's of law and when I was new in the city of London and we started this mentor-mentee relationship. I felt more like you were kind of a big sister to me, always like push me like further. So that felt like really good and that inspired me to push through my own limits. And this is actually what I want to share with the others today, like through our conversation. So I have many questions for you.
Awesome. Oh, it's so exciting. I have had a number of mentees, but I will say that you've been one of my favorites.
Aww.
Actually took action on things that I said. Like some people would be like, yeah, okay, but then they wouldn't actually implement anything that I suggested. But you definitely were one who took everything on board and was keen to keep moving forward. So yes, it was a pleasure to be your mentor.
Oh, thank you. And that was a pleasure to be a mentee. So now, 8 years later, we've moved on and we kind of changed careers and I did so many things on our plates. So I wanted to ask you about limiting beliefs from your own experience and from the one of the life coach that you are. What are the most limiting beliefs women are facing both personally and professionally, especially after having faced many or some life challenges?
Yeah, I think there's so many limiting beliefs that people have, but some of the common ones are things like it's not possible for me, like I could never do that, or I'm not ready to do that, or in order for me to do that, I need to be more like somebody else.
Yeah.
Those types of things come up often. So people tend to lack confidence in themselves, especially if they're moving into doing something different, something that they haven't done before, something that's new. They're like, okay, either, I haven't got the experience for this, I haven't had enough exposure. Like people feel like they need more and more experience or expertise, or they just need more time before they can go and do the thing that they want to do and feel confident in doing the thing that they want to do. But what I say to people often is confidence doesn't just come by just thinking about it or even learning about something. Confidence comes by doing. So if you take being, a trainee lawyer, for example, you do your studies at law school, and then you spend in the UK here, you spend 2 years doing like an internship type program. So it's called a training contract. But it's not until you actually start applying what you've learned at law school in practice, and you've done it a few times, that you start to feel confident that you know what you're doing. But you could study for longer and longer at law school, but you're not going to feel any more confident. So I think it applies across the board, where people try and prepare too much. And actually, sometimes you just need to go out there and do it or get started. And with that, your confidence will come.
Yeah, and that speaks to me so much because, because I tend to over prepare, like trying to make everything perfect before actually doing the thing. But the thing is that I'm learning is that perfection is an illusion. So this is just a waste of time. It's okay if it's not perfect, like just go for it and you be your own person, not trying to copy someone else and give it a try. And then you'll see and you adjust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it like something that you've been faced with in the past?
Yeah, lots of times. I think I've made a number of transitions in my career. So I went from working as a corporate lawyer in private practice at a law firm to shifting into working in an in-house role. And I did that when I was after maternity leave. So I was on maternity leave from my corporate lawyer job and decided I didn't want to go back because of the lifestyle that I would have. And I wanted to be a working mum who was around for my son, and the hours were long in corporate. The nature of the work means that, everything needs to be done by a certain time. So you have to work through the night sometimes. And I just knew that I didn't want that lifestyle for me going forward. And so an opportunity came up to work in-house, and that was fantastic. But I'd not done that before. Like I'd worked in-house for short periods of time on secondment, and stuff like that when I was training, but actually going in, and I was the first lawyer within this organization, the first lawyer that they had hired. So there was a big element of, what am I doing? Do I even know what I'm doing? am I going to be able to perform? All the imposter syndrome comes up, and the lack of confidence came for me because I was thinking, I've not done this before, and the expectations are going to be high. And I just had to suck it up and say, look, I can do it. I can figure it out. There have been times in my past where I've had to do something new and I've managed to work it out. And so I can do it again.
Yeah.
That's what it was for me. And yeah, everything, when it's new, it's new. But over time, I adjusted and I got settled, and then things looked different. So yeah, definitely then. And also, like, when I decided to launch my business, that was a big deal because I didn't know what I was doing at all.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to market, how to like do business development, how to get myself out there. Like, it was just all a big mystery.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of learning that had to happen then too. And I think at that stage, it was a lot of looking around and comparing myself to other people and saying, oh, if I want to do this, I have to do it this way because these people are doing it this way. And that's what works. So I need to follow that path. When actually, when you look at it, everybody's unique and everyone's journey is unique. So I didn't have to do things the way that everyone else is doing it.
And how did you find this confidence in saying that to yourself? Like, okay, I don't need to be like anybody else. I'm me, I'm unique, and I have something to say. So I'm gonna do my thing.
Yeah, I think it's just really, I'm a real advocate of leveraging your strengths. And in terms of the coaching that I do and the work that I do within organizations and with individuals. And when I was, doing my studies in terms of my coaching certification and stuff like that, I can't remember where I read it, but I read something that was talking about the fact that there are over 7.6 billion people in this world, and every single person has a unique blend of experience, background, expertise, strengths.
That is so true.
And so even if you grew up in the same house with your siblings, or even if you're a twin, you're still going to have had different experiences. And so if you, instead of being like, oh, I want to be like, this person, or I should be like this person, just know that you are the only you that there has ever been or will ever be. And so why would you try and be someone else? It's like, there's only one you. And so I would say, own that and leverage that, and just recognize that there will be people out there that will be attracted to you because you're you. And that's that's an amazing thing. So I think when I had that realization, I was like, yeah, like, I'm just going to be me and whatever. And it makes life so much easier if I'm just trying to be me and not trying to emulate what other people are doing. And don't get me wrong, there is always learning that you can do from other people.
For sure. For sure.
You learn from others, but then you have to figure out what's my way, what's my path, what makes sense for me in this season of my life as well. I see this a lot with, working mums, especially, who may have taken a career break and then they go back into the workforce and they're looking at their colleagues who might be a little bit more ahead in terms of career progression. And they're saying like, oh, I'm so far behind, they're ahead of me. But I say, hold on a minute, but they don't have a family. So you have a whole nother side of your life that they don't have.
You got pretty much two lives.
Yeah, and so you can't compare apples and pears. Like, you're on a different path, and that's okay. That's fine. That's the path that you're on. So just embrace that and look at how you're going to leverage things from your perspective.
That's so funny because like the uniqueness thing, like the analogy that you use, even twins are different. This is what like really strike me as well. Like even twins are different. Like when you look at them, it will be like this little something that will be different about even their face and with their own experience. So at some point you just have to own your uniqueness, and everybody has something to add to this world, I think. So just go for it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I believe like you particularly really stepped into your power when you decided to rethink and expand your own business, Lightbox Coaching, after maternity leave. But how do women get their power back when they think they have lost it? Because that's the hardest thing. When you like this woman like managing your business, or like being in the corporate world and doing everything to a certain level, like pretty much high level. And then at some point you take a break for whatever reason it may be. And you go back, as you were saying with your example of the woman going back to work after maternity leave. And it happens that she compares herself to her colleagues and they're much more advanced. So how do you take your power back? Like, okay, I took a break, but
I'm here, and or people
Suffering from depression.
even going back to the workplace, but they don't know how to feel confident anymore. Like to go back to the person they were before this even happened to them.
Yeah, I think whatever you've been through that's made a change in your life, recognize that you're no longer the same person. Like, I think the mistake a lot of people make is like, oh, I need to get back to how I was before. I can't go back to being a working woman who isn't a mother. Like, that's not my life anymore. And so instead of saying, okay, I need to get back to who I was before and feel the same way I felt before, you need to decide, what do you want your new normal to be? Because if you're always striving to go back to what was before, then you're not fully embracing all the possibilities of the present. And so if you're saying, okay, I want to feel confident again, what does confidence look like to you now? Where do you really want to go with your career and your life? What do you want things to look like? And when you've started to map out like what you want it to look like, then you can create a plan as to how you get there. If your lack of confidence is coming because you need to skill up, you don't really know the industry as much as you did before, or you need more exposure to certain things, then you can be strategic about that and get yourself that exposure. But if you don't know what it is you need, then it's hard for you to get it. So I think even if someone's coming back, and I'm not qualified to speak on like mental illness and stuff like that, but if you have gone through some kind of challenge in that way, you still have to think about, well, I'm here now. Where am I trying to get to as a person, and what do I need to put in place to support me mentally? Like, do you need to have a support system in place? Do you need to be more aware of what your stress triggers are and what actually causes you to go down a downward spiral and feel a certain way? And if that's the case, then you know, okay, well, these are the steps that I need to put in place, or the support that I need to seek. So I would just say it's not about trying to go back per se, but it's about figuring out who you want to be moving forward, and then what you need to get you there.
Yeah. How to move forward instead of looking back in the past, because the past belong to the past.
Yeah, and you might still you it doesn't mean that you're not going to try and be a confident person again, but it's just going to be different because you are now different. Like, you go through different seasons of life, and all your experiences impact you in different ways, and so you're never going to be the same person that you was last year or a decade ago. You're a different person, and so you got to keep moving as you grow.
Yeah. And that's something is hard for many people to understand.
Yeah, because it's what's familiar, right? Like, you're familiar with how things were, and that's easy for you to refer back to. The future is not yet here, so it's hard to it's not tangible. So how do I pinpoint what it is I'm going to be, or who I am, and who I am now, and what that means for who I'm going to be? That's really hard. It's easier to look back and say, well, this is where I was before, and I liked life then, so I should just aim to get back there.
Yeah. And I think it's also a lot of self-assessment work, like self-reflection, to, as you said, like to realize like, okay, now I'm a different person, what do I need now and how do I move forward? But like for that is also important to have people guiding you through it, because sometimes you, especially when you've been going through like a challenge, whatever it might be, like it's hard to get back on your feet when you by yourself is harder. So to have like people like to guide you, or like even
I think it's really important to have people, and there's people that fall within different categories. I'm an advocate of coaching. So ever since I started my journey into coaching, I've had a coach in some shape or form. It's either been someone that I've been working with one to one, or I've been in like a group mastermind or group coaching program. I've always had a coach there who kind of knows what my vision is and what I'm trying to achieve, and can be there to support me when I'm falling off. When you have days where you're just like, I can't do this, forget it. And they're like, hold on a minute, hold on, slow down, calm down.
yeah.
You need that person. And sometimes it's a coach, sometimes it's a mentor, sometimes it might just be a peer, like somebody who is going through a similar challenge to you at the same time, and you kind of keep each other accountable and you check in with one another. I just think it's really important to have support, and depending on where you are and what you're trying to achieve, that support looks different, but having it is so necessary in order for you to achieve your goals and move towards what you think you want in life. I think you have to have people who have either been there and can help you because they've got insight, or people that can just be supportive and can help you because they'll be there for you.
And actually, at some point, you were that support for me. You was always so encouraging and positive, which made you like the perfect mentor for me back in my college years. And I actually remember one day, like I remember you sent me emails. I think it was like to know where I was, like with the one of the assessment you gave me. And weirdly, I was not responding because I was going through such a hard time. I mean, it was like so many things going through my life at the same time. And I confess to you that I just did lose a close friend of mine. Hence, I was slacking on our regular assessments. And you just sent me a message, which was the sweetest thing ever. You just let me know that if I wanted to talk to someone, you were here. And then you gave me a few advice on how to overcome grief while being busy with life. Everything was hectic. I had like my finals in London. I took another course in another country, so I had to take exam for that as well. It was Christmas time, so I had to go back home to my family, and they were not living in the UK. So it was many, many things, and then obviously like this big emotional wave and grief that I was dealing with. And you just reminded me that also death is a part of life, and you always gonna be busy. Life will just go on. And I don't know, like it was the words, the super kind and nurturing energy that you gave me at this time, and it was really hard for me still. But your words like really helped shade the light into the darkness that I was going through and pushing my limits positively.
Oh,
So just to warm up like all of that, it's just like saying that some days are easier than others. And how do you stay positive and motivated during like the not so easy times even, I would say.
yeah. Oh, firstly, I didn't even know. Like, like this is just a point to people who, there's people in your life that you have the ability to impact, and sometimes you don't even know the impacts that you've made. Like when you just shared that with me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to cry. Like I didn't even realize that just by sending that email it made such a difference. And so I would just encourage people to just like be mindful that you might never know, but just being kind and caring about like towards the people in your sphere of influence can make such a difference. But I would say just staying positive is not always easy. I am generally a positive person. Like I'm a glass half full type of person. It's funny actually. Quick story. One of my friends called me yesterday, and I haven't spoken to her for like maybe 6 months, and she was like, oh, I thought about you today. I've been feeling a bit down, and I was talking to my husband, and I was saying I need a bit of positivity in my life, so I'm going to call Janine because I know when I get off the phone I'll feel positive. And I was like, oh, I'm glad I'm seen in that light, like I can be your positivity boost.
You are actually. You are. Most of the time that I've been talking to you, like this past 8 years, every time you kind of bring a little bit of positivity, like into my life, it's like a new fuel of energy. Like after talking to you.
Oh, that's so good.
No, honestly.
My heart is getting full in this in this interview. I'm gonna come off being like, oh, this is. But yeah, but for me, I think when I do have moments, where things don't go the way I planned and stuff like that, I just try and go back to my why. And when I say my why, it's really like, what is the reason that you're doing whatever it is that you're doing? So if it is business related, like, why am I trying to build this business? I'm trying to I have to remind myself, I want to make an impact in the lives of women. I feel that it's really important that the work that you do is work that you enjoy, and I'm passionate about that. So when I feel like throwing in the towel, or I feel like it's all a bit much, that's what I remember. When it comes to like juggling work and family life and stuff, I just remind myself that my children are a gift, and I prayed for them. Like there was a time where I was like, am I even going to be able to have them? And so when it's crazy and they're running around and driving me insane, I'm just like, okay, remember you wanted these babies. Remember you wanted these babies. Why did you want them?
You wanted to be a mom.
And so, yeah, I think it's just remembering that what was your reason for getting into whatever it is that you're getting into. So if you're thinking about studying, why did you want to get this degree? Like if you're thinking about looking for a job, why are you seeking a job? So those kinds of things. And I think that there's going to be things in life that happen, like you mentioned, like when you lose someone close to you, or like there's tragedy that strikes, and there's nothing that you can do to change that. And so I always think to myself, like, okay, I'll give myself time to process, but actually, like, is me staying down in the dumps for a long period of time going to be helpful? Like, is it going to make a difference to the situation? Probably not. So once I've given myself time to process and, go through grief or whatever it is, the emotions that you naturally feel flowing from a situation, then I'm like, okay, right, so what can I do now to move forward? I have to ask myself, like, if I stay here for too long, what's the point of that? Because it's not going to change the situation, and then it's just not going to be healthy for me, for my mindset. And so then I have to say, okay, right, okay, I need to move forward. How do I move forward from here?
That's really good advice. Thank you for sharing that.
That's okay.
No, because most of the time when we're in a difficult situation, we tend to get overwhelmed and we think about what's going wrong instead of, as you said, thinking about the why, like what is important and how to prioritize from there.
Yeah, and the lessons as well. There's, in every situation, there's lessons that you can learn, whether that be lessons about how you dealt with the situation and maybe could do it differently, lessons in terms of you growing as a person. There's always a lesson in everything. So I always look for that too. Like, what can I learn from this situation?
Yeah, that's what I realize now. Like, is either it's going to go your way and that's awesome, or is not. And then what did you learn from this situation?
Yeah.
And how you can improve from there.
Yeah, there's a quote. I can't remember who said it, but it was basically, you either win or you learn. It's not about winning and losing. It's you win or you learn. So in every situation, that's it. If you think of it like that, then it takes the pressure off. Like, right, I need to succeed. I need to get this job, or I need to get this client, or I need to, like, I need to get that place at the university. Like, you either win it or you've learned a lesson.
Yeah. We put so much pressure onto ourselves, like
so much pressure. And then sometimes there's another opportunity down the road. Like, if you had taken this one, then it wouldn't have left space for the one that's down the road. So I think when you take that approach, it takes away the pressure and just gives you space to just enjoy the journey more, as opposed to always thinking about, right, I need to get to the next destination, I need to get to this next goal. You're also living life as you're going, right? So you need to enjoy the journey as much as possible too.
Yeah, and living in the moment as well. Like, instead of thinking of what's next, okay, like just stop and stare for a moment.
Yeah.
And then you keep on moving, but like take a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate about you, and that I'm also like trying to bring into my own life, is the law of attraction. Like, from the way you live your life and express yourself in your newsletter, it seems that you greatly believe in the law of attraction, like setting goals and manifesting them. Like, for example, after watching a TED Talk without a topic in mind yet, you decided you'll deliver one day. Like, just like that. And now you're officially a TED speaker. You just gave a Tedx Talk at the WWF UK Living Planet Center about working healthily beyond motherhood. So can you talk a little bit about this mindset of yours?
Yeah. So when you say the law of attraction, it's quite like a spiritual practice, I guess. And I take parts of it, but not all of it. So I'm a woman of faith, and so there's a scripture that talks about writing down your vision and making it plain. And so I work to that. So I always say, okay, well, what is the vision? Like, what am I trying to achieve, and what do I think I'm moving towards? And then have that written down, because there's the element of writing it down makes it so much more likely that you're going to actually do it. There's something about writing it down, and there's been studies done on it, and from a neuroscience point of view, the act of writing something down moves it from, like, it moves the whole thought and the whole intention into your subconscious.
Yeah.
You start to look for opportunities to make this thing a reality without even consciously realizing it.
That's actually how I understand the law of attraction, like more of a neuroscience type of way.
Okay. Yeah. So from that perspective, yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to, like, write those things down that you intend to do, and then your subconscious mind is going to look for opportunities to make that happen, and you're going to notice more opportunities that will help you. So with the TEDx talk, I had written down in January of 2019 that I want to do a talk this year, and then I mentioned it to somebody, and then that person mentioned that there was a local event that I didn't know about, then I made an application, and then they shortlisted my talk, and then I went for an audition in like July, and then the talk was done in December. So I delivered the talk before the end of the year. And so I think by writing it down in January just meant that it was in the forefront of my mind. I was like, this is something I want to do. So then opportunities came up. And I think that if you're not intentional about what it is you want to achieve, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get there. So I just encourage people to think about the vision first. Like, what is the vision? Where do you want to go? What are you trying to create, achieve, move towards? And then once you know that, it's going to be far easier for you to walk the path. There'll be strategy involved, but opportunities will also come your way. So I guess in terms of the law of attraction from that point of view, like you setting your intention and putting it out there that this is what I want, and then opportunities coming your way, that's totally something that I've seen happen. And I think it's powerful.
Yeah, so visualization and intention together.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess when I was saying at the beginning, because a lot of people will say when they talk about law of attraction, they'll say like tell the universe what you want, and then the universe will bring it to you. But then for me, I would say that's God as opposed to saying the universe. So that's the only distinction that I would make.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a different name, like universe, God, the higher power. And when we think about it from another perspective, like if we believe that God is the creator of the universe, the two are the same, or at least not too far off.
Yeah.
From your beliefs, like you switch it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was talking more about the process, like how to get there. So you insert like intention and visualization, and of course putting in the work to get there.
Absolutely.
And obviously, it's quite a big deal, the Tedx Talk, and it will reach millions of people worldwide. So, what is the most important message you would like working women across the globe to remember on the daily?
So, the core message of my TED Talk is that it only takes one collaboration with one person to open the door to your career breakthrough. So, in my talk, I talk about the importance and the power of relationships, building relationships with the right people, and how that can lead you to the success that you're seeking. So oftentimes, especially in this current day and age, we think a lot about networking on a grand scale and social media, connecting with lots of people, lots of followers, and that kind of thing. But actually, it's when you go deep in connections that you will see that doors will open for you. So my message really is about not trying to do it alone and recognizing that there are people that have gone before you and done the thing that you already want to do. And there are people that will come behind you. And so you can find that one person who's going to help you to open the door. And in turn, you can open that door for someone else who's behind you on the journey.
Yeah. And that's the perfect segue to my following question. You created a supportive community through your membership program, your Facebook group, and your podcast. And this collective covers the journey towards self-acceptance of different women who succeeded to find peace in balancing the career and personal life. To your mind, what is the importance of finding your tribe to succeed at life?
I think we're not designed to do things solo. Like, we need community. And when you have like-minded people, just even one other person that says to you, I see you, I understand you, I'm totally where you are, you're not alone, that makes such a difference. If someone is striving and trying to do something and they're doing it on their own, it can feel so isolating, and it can feel like you're going crazy. Like, am I the only one that feels this way? And as soon as you connect with other women who have done similar things, or like have done the thing that you would love to do, then you feel encouraged and you feel empowered. And so there's just so much benefit that comes from operating in like a group setting. One of the ladies that was in the collective before, she came to one of the group calls we had in the early days, and she wanted to work part-time, but she didn't think it was going to be possible for her in her industry. And after the call, she came and she realized there was all these different women from different industries that were working part-time. So she was like, oh, okay, if they're doing it, I can totally do it. So it was just by hearing the experience of others that then encouraged her that she could do it. And so that is really powerful. And part of the reason why I recently launched a new program is more of a group coaching program. I created that container because I've worked with people one-to-one, but then I also seen the power of group through my membership. So now combining the coaching with a group has been so powerful again, to see like women really making progress and encouraging one another to keep moving towards their goals of like finding a career that they love. So I'm a massive advocate of finding a community that you resonate with, even if it's one or two people, and having them support you in the goals that you've set.
That's beautiful. And I think more people should encourage groups like that,
Yeah, totally.
because more and more people are actually entrepreneurs now, and most of the time is a solo work. And for me, I'm working by myself most of the time, but I love having like this networking events or this community like online, also like
Yeah.
co-working spaces, etc. So it's really nice, and also having your team working with you.
Yeah, I think especially if you work virtually, it can feel isolating. So getting yourself either in online communities or like away from your computer and going and meeting people in person
Hmm.
can be just really useful in terms of you just feeling like, okay, I'm connected with the world,
Yeah.
just not just here by myself behind my laptop.
That's true. And it's easy to get isolated because everything is on the internet. So you can pretty much do everything from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
But this connection with people is so necessary, and you need to go out to find it most of the time.
Yes, you do.
People just want to be heard and understood. So it's when you actually go out and talk to people, or even online, that you end up like finding people to support you.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. 100%.
And Janine, you're a corporate lawyer, a life and business coach, a podcaster, a public speaker. You run your own successful business. You're a mom of 2 toddlers and a wife.
Yeah.
And that is just a short list of who you are. So, do you realize that you are an inspiration to so many women out there, including myself, and especially to the one who are struggling with unleashing their own power and uniqueness?
Um, yes, I do. People often say, like, when I speak or if I go to events or whatever, like, you're inspiring. Um, it's true, but like, I also just want people to know that it's not easy. Like, I'm not trying to paint a picture of like roses and unicorns, everything all good all the time. Like, there are times where I'm like sat in my car, like I'm gonna cry, or like in my house where I'm just like, this is just too much.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, sometimes it does feel like a lot, but I enjoy what I do. Like, I love podcasting, I love coaching, I enjoy being a lawyer. Public speaking is like my new love. It's just all of the things that I enjoy doing, and I just blend them together and say, well, why can't I do this now? So I just do it. And then often people are like, think I'm crazy, and they'll be like, when do you have fun? I'm like, oh, like fun to me is working, which is crazy, I know. But like, I don't watch TV. Like, I hardly Netflix and chill. I might, over the Christmas holidays, I've spent a lot of time watching Netflix, which has been nice, but generally I don't really watch TV much. So where people would just be chilling and watching TV, that's where I fit everything in, because people are often like, how do you fit it in? And I'm like, I just look at my calendar and the time that I have, and I decide intentionally like where I'm going to spend it. So it's totally doable. If you're saying, do you know what, I want to do something, I want to branch into something new, and you're thinking, I don't have the time. Actually, if you do a time audit and just say to yourself, it's not about like, I don't have the time. It's like, what am I prioritizing?
Yes.
If you really want to do something, you'll prioritize it. So yeah, that's basically like what I do. So yes, I appreciate that people are inspired, and I hope that they're inspired to the point that they take action and say, well, if she can do it, I can do it, because that's really my aim in terms of helping people to move towards fulfilling their potential and really doing anything that they want to do, because life is short. Like, why not do what you want to do and build a legacy, and not get to the end of your life and be like, oh, I wish I would have tried this. Like, I don't want to look back and have regrets. I want to feel like I just tried, and if I failed, I failed, but at least I tried.
Yeah. I actually read something today. It said you can have it all, but not all at once.
Yeah.
So having it all, it means something different from one person to the other. So as you said, it's about prioritizing and choosing what you want your life to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true. I talk a lot about work-life integration as opposed to balance, because like there's so many different facets to you and your life, and different parts will integrate, but you're never going to have balance all the time.
Yeah.
You just have to accept that sometimes I might be really heavy on the work front, and sometimes I might just be like, I'm just spending time with my family, or I might just be like, I'm really focused on my fitness right now as opposed to focus on networking. Like there's so many different things that you're trying to like do. So it's okay not to be doing everything and going all in on everything at the same time, but you just need to know what your priorities are.
I think that's actually impossible to do, to be on top of everything at the same time.
Yeah, and it's just unnecessary pressure on yourself. Like you can't do all the things all the time. So sometimes it takes delegating as well. Like if there's lots of things that need to get done, does it have to be you to do it? Is there someone else that can help? Like we don't need to try and be super women and do everything ourselves. Like there's others who you can delegate to on the work front, and also, in on the personal family side.
There's so much more pressure on women because I'm not sure this is a question that I would ask to a man, which is strange. Like I wouldn't ask to a man like how do you find balance between your personal life and your work life, which is strange when we think about it.
Exactly. I saw a video, I think it was last year sometime on YouTube. No, it was on Facebook, where somebody had gone out and she was just stopping men in the street, like men who were walking with their children, and was asking them, how do you find life as a working father? And they were just like looking at her like, what? Like, what is that question? And it's crazy because it was so funny to see all of their reactions, because that's what people say to women all the time.
All the time.
How is working motherhood, or how do you manage to juggle it? And the men were just like, I don't know how to answer that. Like, life's okay. Like, they've never thought about it. So yeah, it is really interesting how it's skewed that way.
That's so interesting. I'll check this video out. This is very funny.
I can't remember where it was, like on Facebook, where sometimes you watch videos and then it brings up another video. So it was just like a random one, and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
This is very funny. And last but not least, I always ask this question because I'm very keen on living consciously in a way that to be aware of your actions, like the impact that they have on your own life, but also like on others and the world. So I wanted to know what would be your advice to live more consciously?
I think it's about being intentional about what you're doing and how you're doing it, because it's so easy to just go along life on a day-to-day basis, just doing things how you've always done it or how you were taught to do it growing up. And it doesn't always have to be that. I think if you're just like, hold on, why do we do things in this way, or why do we use these types of materials, or why do we shop in this place? Like just being more aware of like, why are you doing what you're doing? And once you're aware, like, should I be changing how I'm approaching things? And then make the changes that are necessary. So I think it comes down to awareness and intentionality.
I love this answer because it resonates completely with me. So, and where can we find you, Janine? Because you're all over the place.
I'm all over the place. Yeah. So my website, if you go to lightboxcoaching.com, you can find me there. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also quite active on Instagram at the moment. I have a Facebook community called the Careers Beyond Motherhood Movement, and a podcast called Careers Beyond Motherhood, which is on like iTunes and Stitcher and all of the main podcast platforms. And I'm going to be running a free career change bootcamp in a couple of weeks. I don't know when this is going to air, but it's going to be between the 20th and the 27th of January. So if any of your listeners are kind of at a career crossroads trying to figure out what they're going to do next, then come and join us on the free bootcamp. It's going to be a week of like coaching, training, support that I'm going to be providing. And you can sign up for that at lightboxcoaching.com/bootcamp.
That's great. And we don't need to be a mother for that. So it's not going to be focused on motherhood, right?
No, so you don't have to.
So it's open to anyone.
What we're going to be covering is relevant for anybody who is deciding where they are now in their careers, not where they want to be. So yeah, it doesn't just need to be, you don't need to be a mum.
So people, you know where to sign up.
Yes, lightboxcoaching.com/bootcamp.
I will put all of the links in the description of this beautiful episode, and so people go check out Janine and her business. She's very inspiring. You will learn a lot.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa. It's been so awesome, and I love all that you're doing with your business. It's incredible. So thank you.
Thank you, Janine, for your time, for everything.
Thanks, lovely.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to have taken the time to listen to me and my guest talking about conscious living. Conscious Matters is a self-produced podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and or donate. 5 stars always preferred. Your support will help to keep on raising the collective consciousness together. Talk to you soon.